Everyone experiences it. It's a phenomenon that most people don't realize is happening when it's happening. During a person's REM sleep cycle, the brain paralyzes the body so that we don't act out our dreams. Most of us don't ever knowingly experience this paralysis because our minds are still asleep. So what happens if our brains paralyze our bodies, but we're still conscious? This is what we call sleep paralysis. Some may have heard of it, most not. Sleep paralysis is a condition in which the victim is unable to move or speak, and it makes it difficult to breathe. Yet the person is very much awake. It's also common that one is unable to open his or her eyes. It usually occurs when the person is falling asleep or coming out of sleep. I say victim because this experience can be quite alarming, if not terrifying and disturbing. I know this because I have had this phenomenon happen twice in my life. In fact, studies show that 40 to 50% of all people will experience sleep paralysis at least once during their lives. However, it is a frequent complaint in only about 5% of all people. This is because most people don't ever tell anyone about their experience with sleep paralysis because they're afraid of what other people will think. On top of being paralyzed, barely breathing, and partially blind, another very common symptom is, as WebMD calls it, hypnagogic hallucinations. Other professionals call them lucid dreams, night terrors, basically anything that isn't something real. This is what can make sleep paralysis so terrifying, though. However, people who have experienced these hallucinations wouldn't necessarily label them as such. I have interviewed several people, including very close friends of mine, who have experienced and are still experiencing sleep paralysis and have all of the listed symptoms. And they would very much beg to differ from WebMD's definition of what they see and hear. Many people describe the visions and sounds as completely real and definitely not dreams, because the subjects are completely awake and aware. They would even describe the supernatural presence. It would be as if you woke up and saw someone in your room about to attack you, but then they left because your spouse came home. And then your spouse told you no one was in the house, but you knew someone was there. They tried to attack you. You saw them, but your spouse keeps telling you it's not true. You must have been dreaming. How frustrating, right? Well, this is how a lot of people with these experiences feel. In rare cases, sleep paralysis can last hours. Here's a portion of a video from someone who has narcolepsy-induced sleep paralysis.
This has been going on for about an hour and a half. She's stuck in a state of sleep paralysis. I've tried everything to get her out of it. I've been moving her arms, moving her legs, giving her something to drink, talking to her. She's stuck in it. We need something else. We need Xyrem or something. This is your proof. This is what you need to see. You're seeing it. This isn't just today. This is about a 2 or 3 time a week occurrence, minimal. Sometimes it's every day. All right. You can hear she's trying to talk. She can't do it very well. She's probably telling me something to say on here. But you can see she's trying to talk, but her mouth and face can't even move. She's paralyzed.
The paralysis alone can be quite scary. I actually live with someone who has sleep paralysis quite often, and even since he was young. Usually within about 5 seconds before sleep paralysis occurs, he can feel it coming on. And at this time, he tries to get up and move, but more often than not, it's too late. Once in sleep paralysis, he can feel the pressure of the air change, and he will try to move something, a finger, a toe, something small, his tongue, anything. But it feels impossible. Knowing I'm in the other room, he tries to let out some sort of a sound or moan in order to wake me up and get my attention. Once I hear him, I start calling his name and run into his room to shake his body awake. And that's just the physical part of the experience. The supernatural part is a different story. Sometimes he just senses an evil presence. Sometimes he can manage to get an eye partially open, and he can see something or someone on top of him or in the room. Many people have had the same experiences, even across the world. Sleep paralysis is a worldwide known occurrence in people. In cultures other than the Americas, sleep paralysis is not described so much by the paralysis of the body as much as it is described by the terrifying symptoms. According to worldofluciddreaming.com, In Newfoundland, it is known as the old hag who visits you in the night. In China, they know it as ghost oppression. In Japan, they call it kanashibar, translated as demon of the night who attacks people during sleep and paralyzes them. The Japanese even have a film about sleep paralysis entitled A Ghost of Chance. All of these descriptions are primarily about the sensed presence. So what can a person with sleep paralysis do to prevent it from happening? Well, not much, but it seems to usually occur when a person is anxious, falling asleep on their back, or not on a good sleep schedule. Okay, so then what do I do once I'm in sleep paralysis and I want out? I'm glad you asked. A good example would be what my friend tries to do when he finds himself in this condition. Try wiggling a small part of your body. Try moaning. Speaking is pretty much impossible because your tongue just refuses to move, but moaning seems to be a little easier. And of course, if you don't wake up on your own, if you don't wake up your body on your own, you might wake up someone else who can